mean, let's start by just painting the picture for me, Dean, if it's okay. Like, what is kind of the current situation in terms of females dieting? Like, what is the standard approach, and what are some of the issues that occur as a result of that?
Yeah, so I guess like even the opening statement, you can't really diet a female the same way as a male. They have, on one aspect, completely different biologies, but on the other hand, they have completely different psychologies. And again, that comes down to neurotransmitter balance. So a male's brain is going to predominantly be dopamine driven as a consequence of testosterone, and a female is going to be more so mellow, more, I guess, thought orientated due to the serotonin from estrogen. So you have to realize that men will probably have more intrinsic motivation to basically follow a plan, whereas a female might need to be guided a little bit more better and not as emotionally. We have to understand that potentially a male will just do as they're told, whereas a female may be more inquisitive. They may have more rational thinking over a plan. And it's important that as a coach then that you understand that you can't coach a female the same way as a male. That even boils down to training. So even, the basic biology of a female is all centered around the menstrual cycle. So at different points of the month, different hormones are going to be at play. So it's not just like with a male where they're pumping out the same level of testosterone every single day. In a female's menstrual cycle, you're going to have periods when luteinizing hormone, LH, is rising with progesterone and estrogen counterbalancing what's happening in terms of whether they're ovulating or whether they're menstruating. And at that point, different levels of psychology is going to come in. So obviously when their estrogen is elevated, their serotonin is going to be more elevated. So potentially they're going to be a little more lazy or a little more emotional. And then at the other point of the month, estrogen is going to be lower, progesterone is going to be higher. And even then that brings challenges, because then progesterone is almost like a relaxing hormone to a female. So in that case, their training intensity, their training volume, their ability to handle load is going to change and put them more at risk of injury. So you can't really give a female the same training plan and each week I check and go, oh great, you progressed way, or let's keep increasing load. There has to be almost like an undulating training period to managing a female's training cycle alongside that menstrual cycle. And then obviously in tandem to that comes supplementation requirements. So at certain parts of the month they may need more magnesium because of the main enzyme COMT, catechol O-methyltransferase. It detoxes estrogen from the body. That requires magnesium to efficiently work. So you have at points in the month when estrogen is going to be higher, that athlete or coaching client is going to require more magnesium, whether that's through supplementation like magnesium bisglycinate or magnesium threonate, or through food. Predominantly, as a coach, you should be aiming to get micronutrients into someone's diet through nutrition. But again, with a balance between caloric intake and expenditure, you may not have the available calories, as to speak, to allow that person to get a full spectrum of what they require. So that's where supplements come in and fill that gap. So magnesium would be one thing that you need to consider with a female, depending on the time of the month. And then you go to another step further and you have to look at liver detox. So our bodies are designed to detoxify all our hormones or xenoestrogens from the environment. So we have to understand that the liver is going to be almost like the roadblock in females to whether they're going to have potential estrogen dominance side effects. And so you need to make sure that the female is having good bowel movements, because quite a lot of estrogen is excreted through our bowels, and also to ensure that they're getting the correct, substrates that help the body to remove the estrogen through your urine. So it becomes a big, broad compass that navigating a female is a little more technically difficult than a male because of these intrinsic things that are happening over the course of a month. With a male, you can probably give the same program and they could ride it out for 4 weeks before you have to make any change. With a female, week to week, you have to almost analyze what variables are happening. And I guess one step further, you could have that female basically measure their basal temperature to sort of give an indication without, symptomology or feelings of what they perceive as happening. The basal temperature is obviously going to show at points in the month when they're ovulating and when they're not. And they can sort of track that around their menstruation, then to give indications of this week I'm in my like pre-luteal phase, the next week I'm in my luteal phase, I'm moving into follicular, and then I'm moving into menstruation. So after that, you can then design, obviously you can periodize to some extent, so you can almost forecast ahead. So it's not almost like you're trying to navigate week to week. You can have some level of forecasting to effectively anticipate changes for that female. But if it's a new client and she's female, you're going to have to navigate probably about 2 to 3 months with that client before you can understand the regularity of the cycle and what demands are required week to week based on that.